Today I'm going to be reading you a story that I half wrote and one of my friends half wrote. Now please listen before you write it. So listen and then write, not write then listen. But I probably know what you're thinking. Ugh, a stupid story. I would as well, but I'd probably have to listen to it before I actually knew it. What do you think? Well, it's called Remember Me, and I hope you like it. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Holly. She lived with her mum, Karen, her dad, David, and her little sister, Annabelle. One day, Holly was so bored she was just sitting on her front porch eating some noodles. Her dad was working, and her sister was in the backyard chasing a bunch of butterflies. But her mum was away on business in Australia. But then she looked up at the clouds and thought, I think it's going to rain anytime soon. And all of a sudden, Holly felt that she was being watched. Then her eyes quickly zoomed over to the left to find a mysterious man, a guy around 16 her age. He was very tall, very handsome, maybe about 5 foot. He had blondish brown hair and he had irresistible blue eyes. It soon occurred to Holly that a bit of noodle was hanging down from her mouth, so she quickly ate it and looked at him. He still had not stopped staring. Those eyes were irresistibly amazing. I stared right into them. They were so nice. Then I noticed he was looking up and down, like something weird was going to happen. I blushed and looked away quickly as I could. He was still staring at me. It was kind of creepy but super cute at the same time. He wasn't even trying to conceal the fact that his eyes were glued to me. I couldn't take it anymore. It had been 5 minutes and his eyes were still glued to me. I slowly got up and opened the gate of my yard. He was smiling. His teeth were straight and pearled. I walked up and said, are you lost? She said, no. He replied, no, with a smile. The next day, Holly went back outside to find him. They are looking at her. I backed away, and he stayed. I walked over to my swing set, where he followed me. I kept calm. He said, follow me. I was quite unsure, but I did. He led me to a white BMW. He then got his keys out and unlocked the car. He then says, get in a demanding way. I got into the car in silence. Through most of the ride, it was complete silence. I then asked, what's your name? And he replied, Tyler. And then he said, is everything okay, Holly? I was shocked that he knew my name. I replied, well, I just got into a car with a complete stranger, sarcastically. What about you? I'm not a complete stranger. And does a smirk grin. What do you mean, not a complete stranger? I've never met you in my life. He chuckled. There was silence for the rest of the journey. We soon arrived at a mansion. I was amazed. He got out of his car and opened my door to escort me to the house. We reached the house and he opened the door. He showed me around his house. We reached the living room and And eventually Holly noticed a bunch of pictures. She said, "Is this you when you were younger?" she asked. "Yes," he replied. Holly noticed a girl beside him in the pictures. "That girl looks exactly like me when I was younger." He replies, "Because it is you. Do you remember a boy when you were 10 years old? A boy you played with all the time?" She replies, "Oh, yeah." He repeats. He says, "That was me." Holly was shocked. That evening, they hung out a lot and she slept over. She woke up the next morning and she had breakfast. He dropped her home, and before she went in, he gave her a small kiss on the cheek. "Goodbye, Holly," Tyler said. She smiled and turned around with tears running down her face, and walked against the door. I looked back quickly and turned to the direction of the living room. I sat down with a tissue. After a half hour, Holly's dad walked in and says, "Where have you been all night?" whilst hugging me in a worried voice. I was at Kelly's house," she said with a sniffle. "Oh, really? Who was that boy who dropped you home just now?" Holly went silent for a minute. "It was one of Kelly's brother's friends." Soon enough, her dad was convinced. He left the room. Holly had a sigh of relief. Maybe about 10 minutes later, her dad called her for breakfast. After her breakfast, Holly went up to her room. She called Kelly and told her everything that happened. She was shocked. That day, Holly never came out from her room, thinking about Tyler, and always did. Well, in the future, Holly went to college to become a teacher. She now works in Ashfield Academy Comprehensive. Tyler went to university to become a lawyer. He now works as a lawyer and represents Stonebridge Court. So, they both went to uni for this stuff, so we'll see what happens in the future now. The 6 years go by after they get their dreams. It was a Saturday afternoon, and Tyler has been moved to a court called Stoneview Court in London, where Holly lives. Tyler was walking by the shops when he felt quite thirsty, and he just walked by a coffee shop. And you won't believe who was in there. It was Holly. Tyler didn't know that until a waiter came over and said, "Cheer up, Holly, it's okay." That's when it struck. He didn't say anything though. He sat close enough by her. But then, out of nowhere, one of Tyler's friends, Matt, arrived. He shouted, "Hey, Tyler!" And that's when it hit Holly. When Matt left, she went over and said, "Tyler, it's me, Holly." Tyler did a fake reaction. "Wow," Tyler replied. They talked for ages. She gave him her number, and he gave his. They were constantly hanging out with each other. But one time when they went for a meal, they decided that they wanted to be more than friends. They grew closer and closer and closer, and had many, many dates. One of the dates was on Valentine's Day. Tyler had a big surprise for Holly. For their date, they went for a romantic movie and a picnic by a waterfall. When they were eating their food and they were drinking some wine to enjoy, at the bottom of Holly's glass was a ring. She was shocked. Tyler then got the ring and said, "I've loved you since the day I first found you. I didn't think that we'd ever meet again, and I never get the chance. I thought I was so over you, but clearly after seeing you and how much we've hung out, I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." And Holly said, yes. And then after a whole year of planning, they got married. It was a beautiful traditional wedding. Holly wore a very long dress with straps and a lovely veil. She had a massive cake and she had it in a church. It was amazing. And then 2 months after the wedding, she found out she was pregnant. And then 9 months later, she gave birth to their twins. It was a boy and it was a girl. She named them Josh and Jazz. They were together for the rest of their life. They were so inseparable. And the family lived happily ever after. Thank you. Now, if you could rate that, that would be really, really nice. Even if it's hate, at least I can do something to work on it next time. And I'd just like a reason why you'd like it. If you can't, I honestly don't care. Bye. I hope to post more videos.